Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network. Our show today is What's Trending, and my co-host Kathy Fulton has the day off. So if you're joining us for the first time, wherever you are in the world, we are so thrilled to have you here with us. We have 29 live broadcasts each week, and this one is one of my favorites because we never know what the topic is going to be because it's what's trending. And our topic today is so important because it touches so many lives, so many families, and people don't like to talk about it. But yet when you're in a situation where a loved one, or maybe you yourself, have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia, it can be a scary and frightening place because you don't know what to expect and you don't know how will it impact you and your family members. And there apparently are risks that put us in the way of getting one of these diseases. And so I am thrilled today to have someone who is an expert. Her list of accomplishments is so long. If you look at what I posted on the promo, it just goes on and on and on and on. Her name is Dr. Jennifer, and she has many accomplishments that we're going to talk about today. She was just backstage, but she has popped off for the moment. So we'll just take a quick break and then we'll be right back with our guest. So please do stay with us here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diane Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at DianeFloydBoehm.com. Visit DianeFloydBoehm.com. That's DianeFloydBoehm.com.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT Partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT Partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being with us today. I'm still Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and this is still What's Trending. And today we are going to be meeting with Dr. Jennifer Stelter to talk about the risk factors for Alzheimer's disease. Let's welcome her to the program, and we will get right into this conversation. Hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. Where are you joining us from today?
Chicago, Illinois, actually.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I was saying in the beginning of the introduction, there's so many things that you've accomplished. The list just goes on and on. I was typing, I was like, there's got to be 20, 30 things here. So let's get right into it. You are really helping people with a topic that is, I want to say, frightening in some cases when people get a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia. And of course, I know that Alzheimer's and dementia are related, but maybe you can discuss what those differences are. But before we go there, can you please tell us a little bit about your background? You are the oil doctor. You're also an author, and you are a CEO and a co-founder of one company. And then I think the second one, you're also the CEO. So you're doing a lot of wonderful work. Tell us more about it.
Absolutely. So, I'm a clinical psychologist by trade, and I actually started in this journey really with my own mental health journey years and years ago. And when I went through that journey, I said to myself, I really want to be able to give back. And so I, of course, went to school and made a career out of it to become a clinical psychologist. And I've had the luxury of being able to, through networking and of course through schooling and my experiences in the clinical field, really being able to meet a lot of wonderful people. And so when my first half of my career was dedicated to working with individuals who have mental health concerns and challenges, and really being able to give back in that sector. And then I've approached my second half of my career working in senior living. And when I started to work with individuals who were diagnosed with dementia about 12 years ago, I just fell in love with the population. And I was able to use my skills, of course, in mental health and all the schooling that I learned and my expertise and experience to be able to work with individuals who have cognitive issues. And so I had worked in senior living for a number of years, and during that process, I was able to create a new model of care that we'll talk about today. And that allowed me to be able to expand my experience in being able to create my new love, if you will, called the Dementia Connection Institute. And so with that said, I had met my business partner. She couldn't be with us today, but my business partner, Jessica Ryan, through the years in working with individuals with dementia, and she came on board to the company, and we developed it together to create it what it is today. So, with that said, it's not your typical journey for those who are clinical psychologists, but for me, I was able to really turn something that was personal into a passion, and through the ability to give back to the community and really understand what worked for me to be able to give to others, I was able to convert that into what may work for those living with dementia. And that focus is really on non-pharmacological intervention, right? We believe that there is a place for medication, but we do believe and try to really stress the need for non-pharmacy, to be able to use our hands and our heart when working with individuals who have dementia. And so that's really kind of how everything evolved for me into where I am today.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What a fascinating journey. And something you said really stood out. You said that you fell in love with the community. And I think that we'd like to hear more about that, because so many times we hear about when a loved one is going through this process that apparently lasts for many, many years, that their personality changes and we don't know actually how to deal with it. So what was your experience that you just really enjoyed it?
Absolutely. So, most people get into working with individuals who have dementia because they have a loved one who went through that experience. And I did have a loved one. I had a grandmother-in-law who unfortunately passed away with the disease. However, my journey started before, she was diagnosed. And for me, it was when I was starting to work in senior living, I saw the struggle for a lot of nurses and certified nursing assistants, social workers, even family caregivers who didn't quite understand what was going on when they were in front of the person living with dementia. And when I, was able to kind of understand what their pain points were, and really be able to kind of put it in a way that they could understand better and see their connection with that person living with dementia, my heart just grew bigger and bigger and bigger. I said, there's got to be a better way where we can understand and put ourselves in that person's shoes who's living with this disease every day. And once I was able to kind of paint that picture for people, and they were able to connect with that person better, for me, I just fell in love with the ability for them to understand it. And with the population, they were really just receptive to all of the intervention. And so it just made my heart grow. And I said, we've got to spread the love for dementia care education, because there's not enough of it. People from top down need to understand it. Everyone will eventually be touched by it. And so we've got to do a better job. And I set out as a mission, myself and my business partner said, we've got to set out on a mission here to have this accessible to others, so that way they can understand this and connect to those people as well.
Excellent, thank you. And you talked about helping our loved ones or ourselves without using pharmaceutical drugs, which I want to hear about. Before we get into that, what are some of the risk factors for Alzheimer's, and what should we look for?
Absolutely. So, we are learning still every day more and more risk factors that are found through clinical research. And so that's why it's important we're always kind of up to date on that information. But some staples that we've seen, of course, in the industry is we've seen that age is the number one risk factor. So as we are getting older, we are more at a greater risk. And us women, unfortunately, are at the greatest risk because we do live longer. Now, there's some interesting research being done out of Rush University that should have came out this year, but I think with the pandemic, research has slowed down. So hopefully in the next year or two, we'll see that they're looking at hormone differences between men and women. And so hopefully we will learn more about why women are more susceptible to this disease, other than just age. And so, we'll look for that as well. Other things too, of course, high consumption of alcohol use and drug use. And that's a kind of a different sector of the disease, meaning that they may have a different form of dementia other than Alzheimer's disease, but certainly a form of dementia. We call that more Korsakoff syndrome. Other risk factors that we see, of course, are genetic factors. And so many people understand that if there's a family member living with it or may have passed away with it, that other family members are at a greater risk. And that's true. It does not mean, though, that the person may get it. They're just at a higher risk for getting it. And what that is there's a gene that they found for Alzheimer's disease called the APOE gene. We receive two of those, one from our mother and one from our father when we're born. And it's associated with the number 1 through 4. And not to get too clinical, but if there's a 4 in any of those two combinations of the APOE gene, then we're at a greater risk for developing it. But with a lot of brain health supports, we can decrease our risk, which we found, again, through a lot of clinical research and information out there. Other risk factors that we see, of course, our environment, what we're exposed to. When we're exposed to a lot of toxins, unfortunately, that can wreak havoc on our brain and our body. And so we want to make sure that we're really trying to eat more organic foods, that we're eating more on the Mediterranean diet line. When we talk about, there's a lot of research of that being the brain healthy kind of diet. Switching different kinds of products that we use in our home, our products that we use on our body. These are all things that we can use to help reduce our risk when it comes to that. So we got to be careful about our environmental exposures. And unfortunately, and we're still learning this, there's a risk factor for those who have had COVID-19. We're seeing that. And so, with that, we're going to learn more about how it's impacted the brain as research unveils, but that's another risk factor too. But we have to look at, of course, our diet, if we exercise, how we socialize, all these things can unfortunately contribute to the development of Alzheimer's disease.
Fascinating information. I have so many questions. So the one thing that you mentioned, it sounds to me, is really in alignment with the greater good for humanity. When we think about taking care of Mother Earth, when we take care of Mother Earth, some of those things we're doing for Mother Earth, we're also doing for ourselves. So eating more organically, getting more sleep, watching who we interact with, how we live our life. It sounds like these are all things that we need to consider so that we don't have this happen to us. So a question I have is, you know how sometimes people say, I don't know where the keys are, or I forgot this, or I forgot that. How do we know when we're going down that slope where it's more than just little things that we forget?
Absolutely. So, it is normal as we get older to forget parts of an event or to have some difficulty in concentrating. And so why we might forget where we put the keys is because maybe our mind is busy thinking about something that we have to do for the day, or something we should have got to at work today, or something that happened maybe with a family member. And so when we put the keys down, we don't remember because we weren't really fully concentrating in the moment. So no fret, right, around some of those things. It's when we see a consistent pattern of forgetting, then we have to think about that there's more concern there. Other things too is when we start to see some difficulty with planning, organizing, managing different kinds of tasks. We call those what we call high functioning independent activities of daily living, or IADLs, right? So if there's challenges with maybe someone is on a medication regimen and they're taking too much, or they forget to take it on a regular basis, or they're driving somewhere and they don't remember how to get home, maybe because you went to a new location. Maybe there's some difficulty in managing money. We're finding that maybe some folks are overpaying bills or not paying bills on time when they normally would, right? So it's really definitely a change in behavior that we're seeing, and other people are noticing it. The person themselves probably notices it. They don't like to talk about it. They want to kind of move past it when it's brought up, those kinds of things. So consistency, when we see kind of more of a pattern of behavior, that's when there's more of a concern. But these onesie twosies, don't worry about it. It could be just, again, that we're not recalling a part of an event, or that we're having some difficulty in concentrating, which is normal as we get older.
Thank you for clarifying that. That was very interesting. So you're known as the oil doctor.
Yes.
Tell us about that and your work.
Yeah, so it's really a representation of the non-pharmacy approach. And so the model of care that I developed for those living with dementia is called the Dementia Connection Model. And within that model, the main approach to care is sensory stimulation. And so we focus on all of our senses, including our sixth sense, which we call our cognitive stimulation. But the oil doctor, of course, is we have a heavy influence in using essential oils with those living with dementia and overall for cognitive health. And so the oil doctor is a representation of these non-pharmacy approaches, from whether they be from olfactory or visual or tactile, gustatory, and etc., right? It's a representation that we really try to approach your loved one, or if you're working in a senior living community, your resident, with really a non-pharmacy approach, and that we try to educate those who are caring for those people with why it works, how it works, what to do, and equip you with all of these tangible tools that you can use. I know oftentimes people say, like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And so our role is to help you connect to that person better using their senses. There's a biology behind it. And of course, there's the understanding of what is happening to those who are living with dementia. So essentially, the person living with dementia, they are going back to an earlier stage, right? They're moving towards more of an infantile state. This has been shown through research. So their skills move in that way. But we have to focus on what skills they still do have. And we know they have two known skills amongst the others, right? They are able to develop and generate emotions and feel those emotions. They just may not be able to express them all the time. And the second thing is that they're able to take in information through their senses. And that's kind of how they're going to navigate their world for the time that they have remaining with us, right? And so because they're taking information more so through their senses and relying on that to help them navigate their world, sensory stimulation is the best approach to care. And so we want to ensure that that stimuli is a positive stimuli. Because what happens is when they take in positive stimuli through their senses, whether that's nose, eyes, ears, mouth, etc., hands, right? It is processed through the limbic system. And the limbic system is responsible for our mood and our memory. And so when we can influence the person using positive stimuli, it's going to influence positive emotions, positive memories, which then influences positive behavioral expressions and productive behaviors. And that's why the Dementia Connection Model is a cognitive behavioral approach to care, so people can understand the connection between our emotions, our memories, and our behaviors. And so really the oil doctor is a representation of all the non-pharmacy approaches we provide and we educate on, so that way we can stimulate those senses in positive ways.
Thank you so much. So when you speak of the oils, are you speaking of essential oils?
Essential oils, yes, absolutely. Of course, there's always, the coffee brewing. If you loved coffee, that's always a wonderful olfactory scent, or, fresh baked bread. That's always wonderful too. But there's been clinical research and hundreds of clinical studies that show that essential oils are effective for our brain health. And more importantly, of course, in our line of work, that they have been shown to be effective with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia as well. And so we really do tote and educate a lot on the use of essential oils, because it really can help the person to feel all sorts of positive emotions, from feeling calm to happy to feeling secure, to feeling more sociable, right? These are all things that are going to help to really assert them and be able to support them in living the most independent life that they can for the rest of the time that they're with us.
Thank you, doctor. And in regards to the oils, is this something where, okay, I've got some oils here at home, I'll just go downstairs or upstairs or over next door, wherever the loved one is, and apply the oil to the person and see what happens? Or is there some process that we need to know of?
Absolutely. So, we at the Dementia Connection Institute, through the model, developed what's called the perfect day. And so the perfect day is a subset of oils that have been, of course, clinically trialed and designated for various parts of the day. And so in the morning, we recommend using a peppermint and a citrus called wild orange of some sort, right? Peppermint and wild orange, in that combination, peppermint is really great for mental clarity, helping to really invigorate the person to get up in the morning. It also helps with focus. And then with our wild orange, that helps boost the mood and generate the appetite, right? Because we do know those living with dementia start to lose their appetite over time. So that combination in the morning really does help to get their day started, help with assisting with ADL care, activities of daily living, increase that appetite so that way they want to eat breakfast and get stronger for the day. Then for midday, we recommend a citrus scent called bergamot. And really that helps to uplift the mood and, again, continue that appetite so they're eating strong for lunch and moving into dinner. And so, throughout the day, they have a very positive mood. And then around, the afternoon, so late afternoon, early evening, especially if the person does have sundowning type behaviors, we want to be able to have you start lavender 30 minutes prior to that time, because typically those living with dementia will sundown around the same time every day, roughly. So let's just say the person sundowns around 4 p.m. Around 3:30, you want to start diffusing that lavender. And that lavender is going to have a nice calming scent, right? It's a nice calming, calms the body, calms the brain, calms the mind. And so when that occurs, it helps them to really move through the sundowning hours calmly, and helps them get ready for nighttime. And the person who's caring for them can also diffuse lavender throughout the night so they get a nice sound sleep. And so when we have this structure, a couple of things are happening. One is that the person, of course, immediately has an effect, because essential oils, when we're inhaling them, they only take 22 seconds to start working. And by 30 minutes, they've surfaced the entire body. So it works quickly and they have an immediate effect. So that's wonderful. The second thing is when we're using consistency, and this is part of the Dementia Connection model, the framework is called habilitation, where we are consistently reinforcing these skills, right? And so when we're doing this consistently, eventually, if the person can still smell, we do know some individuals lose their ability to smell when they have developed dementia as it progresses. But if they can still smell, then they can pick up the fact on these smells mean this. So it orients them. After about 4 weeks, they'll learn this smell means it's morning. This smell means it's more daytime. This smell means it's more evening. So they can still learn using their senses. And so eventually, after about 4 weeks, they'll learn that. Now, some people may say, well, my loved one or the person I care for, they can't smell at all. That's okay for the earlier part I mentioned. The earlier part is they'll still have an effect on them because it doesn't matter if they can distinguish what smell it is. When the oils are going into the nasal cavity, they're still traveling to the limbic system. So if they can't determine whether it's lavender or peppermint, they will still be able to have that immediate effect I mentioned because the oils are still affecting the brain, regardless whether they can decipher what it is. However, they will need to decipher it later to understand if they have a consistent routine. So regardless, they can still work. It's a really powerful way to manage their day, provide them some orientation, and really be able to intentionally create moods that will help them be productive throughout the day.
I love what I'm hearing. This is really terrific. Should the oils be applied to the skin? Can they be in a diffuser? Can they be put in food? What are your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah, so a couple of things. In the earlier stages, I think diffusing is fine. So diffuser, if you see here in my backdrop here, this is an example of diffuser. And so essentially you just put the water in up to the line that the diffuser has. You want to use distilled water or bottled water. Do not use tap water because diffusers break them down into really small particles and they travel to the brain. And so we know sometimes our tap water doesn't have the best stuff in it. So that's why it's important to use filtered or bottled water. And then you put, 4 or 5 drops of the oil that you want into the diffuser and you press on. And so you want to make sure you just use the instructions of the particular diffuser that you're using. So early stage, you can do that. Why we don't recommend it for moderate to late is because sometimes the person may become curious. They may open the diffuser, they may drink the water. We don't want those kinds of things. So moderate to late stage, we recommend one of 2 things. We have at the Institute what's called personal diffuser dots. And essentially they're little circles. And on one side, you put a couple of drops of the essential oil and the other side is sticky. And so the sticky part you can put either in the lapel area, you can put it on top, you can put it on the back here. So the person walks around with a personal diffuser all day, which is great. And so this, of course, can be on the go. This can go with them to church, to the grocery store, if you're taking them somewhere, all of that, which is great. Or if the person likes to wear jewelry, you can always put it on stone jewelry, which is nice too. And that, of course, is still allowing them to inhale the essential oil. If you're going to use it topically, we do recommend, of course, being around more of the pulse point areas of the neck, so that way the person can still inhale it. But when you apply essential oils to the skin, you never want to use it neat, meaning just the oil itself. You want to mix it with the carrier oil. The carrier oil can be something like almond oil, vitamin E oil, coconut oil, something to that nature. And so with that said, you want to mix a 1-to-10 ratio, 1 drop of essential oil to 10 drops of the carrier. So highly dilute it, and then you can put it on and the person can enjoy the scent as well.
I really appreciate what you're saying. It's just so refreshing to hear something other than, okay, this drug, that drug.
Right.
So, and I also want to mention that you are a John Hopkins author of the Busy Caregivers Guide to Advanced Alzheimer's Disease. Tell us about that. I see the book's available on Amazon.
Absolutely. So the book came out last year. I was really just amazed that I was able to go on this journey with them. I developed the Dementia Connection model over about a 10-year period. And towards the end, I didn't know what I would call it. I just knew it worked when I worked with so many professionals and family caregivers. And so I said, I think I have something here. And so I put out the kind of outline of what I wanted the book to say and how I wanted the model to be represented. And Johns Hopkins called me and said, we want to represent your model. We feel that it really is going to change the field of dementia. And so I was very grateful for that opportunity and was able to write for them. And I do hope to write for them more. So yes, it's available on the Johns Hopkins website, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble.
And what would you like people to take away from reading the book?
Yeah, so what's great about it is that it's intended for family caregivers, but it also is great for those staff who are working in long-term care communities, assisted livings, because it's a workbook style. And so what's wonderful is that I talk about, of course, what's happening as the disease progresses, so you understand more about that. I go into what is the dementia connection model, so you can start to apply it. And then I really go through all symptoms of the disease, both what's happening with their skill sets as they are decompensating. So from eating to toileting to bathing, dressing, all of that, to, of course, any kinds of unproductive behavioral expressions that might be happening. So, if they're becoming verbally or physically aggressive, if they're wandering, some of those things that we're concerned about. The model then is applied to each of those things. How do you use it? And after each chapter, you're able to write down what tools did you use with mom or dad or with your resident that you're caring for, what worked, what didn't work. So by the end of the book, you have a full toolbox of various non-pharmacological tools that you can use with that person. And so it's a really nice way to not only understand the information, but apply it right then and there and walk away with something to hold on to use throughout the disease process.
Thank you. And in addition to encouraging everyone to purchase your book, I know I'm going to be purchasing a copy, and understanding about the oils, people are probably wondering, does she make house calls? So how else do you work with people? Oh, good. Tell us more.
Yeah. So at our institute, we're really excited. We're called NeuroEssence at the Dementia Connection Institute. NeuroEssence was developed a couple of years ago, and Jessica and I really wanted to focus on brain health. And so we evolved into the institute kind of organically as the book was published, and we really knew what our calling was, and we shaped it up to the Dementia Connection Institute. It opened in January, and so we do provide a lot of training. And what's great is we're the first institute that offer our services to family caregivers, as well, of course, healthcare professionals and eventually other professionals as well. And so with that said, our training is offered to everybody. And so our training, we do provide both in person and virtual. We have a variety of topics that we talk about. That's available at our website at dementiaconnectioninstitute.org. And with that said, we've also developed two new certification programs. So the first one is called the Dementia Connection Specialist, and that is offered to professionals as well as family caregivers. And then the second certification are for trainers. So these are for healthcare professionals to become part of our training team to really spread the love of dementia education and train others to become DCSs. And so it's a credentialing program where you will receive those credentials, and we do offer continuing education for those professionals who need it too. And so with that said, we do focus a lot on training. And later this year, we're hoping to open our online classroom again, which will be open to professionals and family caregivers. They can log on and take training whenever they want. And so that should be opening hopefully before the end of the year. We do offer some consultation as well. And so we offer consultation to organizations in senior living, but also privately to family caregivers. And so they can just go to our website and contact us through there to be able to set up an appointment with us. And then later on, we hope to further develop our institute into some other exciting opportunities, from podcasts to publications. We also hope to expand our services to other professionals like our first responders, as well as a lot of communities are turning to become dementia friendly. And so we want to be able to offer services to grocery workers and librarians and bank tellers, right? Those who may encounter those living with dementia and really know how to interact appropriately with those people, so those people can live in society and feel just like you and I, because this is not really them being a patient or a client. This is a person who's living with a disease no different if they had diabetes or something like that. Nobody should be treated differently because of that.
Thank you so much. I pulled up your book. Let me just share my screen so that people can actually see a visual of it and then go and order it. So let's take a look. Here we are. We're on Amazon. And again, the name of the book is The Busy Caregiver's Guide to Advanced Alzheimer's Disease, a Johns Hopkins Press Health book. So please do go over and purchase that book right now. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So a question I have for you is, based on all of your research and all the people whom you've helped, once we realize we are a risk factor, we have risk factors, we are in the category of high risk, can we use these oils and can we work with you and learn things from the book that'll help slow down the process, or is the process pretty much the process?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, anything we can do for our brain and our body is going to be something that is really helpful to us. And so, absolutely. I mean, we started off talking about brain health at NeuroEssence. That's how we developed our company, was just that to be able to have people understand that they can really nourish their brain to the best of their ability. So, absolutely. I mean, they can contact us and we can work with them to try to really either slow down or prevent the disease as much as possible. I mean, there's nothing that is a kind of a stakeholder. I just want to be, of course, upfront and honest, right? There's nothing that's a stakeholder that says this will absolutely stop the progression or this will absolutely help you prevent from developing the disease, right? There's nothing out there that really has that 100% guarantee. However, there's a lot of research that shows that with a combination of things that we can do, we can really help to nourish that brain. And so it's important that we try, right? And even Jessica and I, we have incorporated this into our lifestyle, into our families. We have small children ourselves. And so we live it, we breathe it, we talk about it, right? And so, yes, people can contact us to help to try to get on that journey, to really say, I want to get healthier. I don't want to develop this disease, or, I've noticed that I've had some cognitive impairment, or I was told I do, and I really want to make sure I don't develop further. Sure, we can really try to help to guide them in that process. Absolutely.
Very exciting. Yay. Doctor, I'm wondering if we take a quick commercial break, would you be able to read from your book for us?
Absolutely. I can do that.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we're actually going to hear from one of our sponsors and one of our team members here at USA Global TV, Diane Floyd-Boehm, A Song of Peace.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diane Floyd-Boehm's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, 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 kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at DianeFloydBoehm.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show is What's Trending. Today, we're talking about the risks for Alzheimer's disease with an expert. She's a clinical psychologist. She is also a business owner, and she is a Johns Hopkins author. Let's welcome back Dr. Jennifer Stelter. Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. I'm excited to have you read for us from your book, so please take it away.
Absolutely. So I wanted to, throughout the book, I talk about some experiences that I've had in working with various individuals living with dementia. And so I wanted to talk about how the dementia connection model is put into practice. The name that I'm using, of course, the name is preserved just for the person's privacy, but we're going to call her Betty. Okay. And so in the book, I say, Betty was having a particularly tough afternoon. As the hours wore on, she started to become agitated with the people around her. She was wandering with an angry look, cursing, unwilling to listen, and trying to push people away if they became physically close. Betty repeated to herself, "I want to go home. I want to go home." I stepped in to help calm Betty and prevent any further escalation. Approaching Betty gently, I presented myself in a calm manner with a smile on my face. I spoke to Betty in a calm, monotone voice. I played soothing sounds, used a lavender essential oil blend, and gave her a light touch so she knew that she was safe. Betty calmed down within minutes and even wanted to spend more time together. Through the Dementia Connection model, I knew that Betty could still feel emotions, even positive ones, if influenced effectively, meaning habilitation. I knew she experienced her world differently than I did by taking information in through her senses, called sensory-based information, like young ones do through the theory of retrogenesis. That's the first pillar. So I used affirmative stimuli to provide auditory, olfactory, and tactile stimulation to influence a sense of calm. Appealing to Betty's senses helped to de-escalate the moment, which made me feel calm and confident for helping her. In the future, Betty will likely continue to feel a sense of peace when she sees me, because she has learned to attribute that positive feeling and behavior with me. She's calm, I'm calm, right? And so the Dementia Connection model really is about a win-win approach, in that it, of course, affects the person living with dementia in a positive way, but it also affects the caregiver, because we feel confident and more confident in how we're interacting and connecting to that person. And it really does make that connection more profound than it was before.
Thank you so much. Would you just hold up your book for us, please?
Sure, absolutely.
And again, for people listening on the radio or the podcast platforms, please do go over to Amazon to purchase her book. It's fabulous. So, Doctor, again, there's so many things I'd like to follow up with you. I have a million questions. I hope you'll come back and join us again, because our time is up for today. But would you please let people know, how can they reach out to you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so to visit our website, dementiaconnectioninstitute.org is probably the best, and you can contact us through there. Or if you prefer email, you can simply email us at support@neuroessence.org.
All right, I'm just typing up that banner. Here we have it. dementiaconnection.org. Wonderful.
dementiaconnectioninstitute.org.
Oh, sorry, Institute. All right, let's hide that. And nobody look at that. Okay, I will put that into the comments. And again, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, and congratulations on everything that you're doing. Because just listening to you today, it just feels like there's so much more hope than what people are even aware of. And you are the expert for people to turn to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and for me, this platform to be able to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope to see you again soon.
You too.
Bye. Thank you so much for being here, whether you're watching or listening. We really do appreciate it. And we are bringing you topics that are trending and are relevant. So please do tune in. Our next show today would typically be Talking Heads. But again, Kathy Fulton has the day off. So we'll be returning in just over an hour with the Corner Bookstore, followed by the Film and Music Show, then the Wise Ones. And we will round off the day with Talking Heads with Mr. Red O'Laughlin. If you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, please go over to our website. It's usaglobaltv.com. Our YouTube channel is USA Global TV and Radio, and we would love if you would subscribe so you can be alerted to all of our wonderful content. What we stand for here at this network is education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I thank you again for being here. We will be coming back, as I mentioned, shortly. And if you want to see any of our shows, just go over to our YouTube channel, as I mentioned, USA Global TV and Radio. And we will be so thankful to have you as one of our followers. See you again soon. Bye for now.